Before the video goes any further, I just want to give a shout out to everybody who got the Antran video up to 1,300 views at the time that I'm making this. And again, I just want to give a huge thank you to everybody who contributed towards that video's kind of blowing up. I got a lot of likes on that video, plenty of comments, and I got quite a few subscribers from that, so I appreciate that from you guys. And I also appreciate you guys contributing towards the community posts. I had put out a post to see when you guys wanted me to kind of have an upload schedule. It was a 50-50 between what I wanted and a weekly. So the only issue is that I work a lot throughout the week, so it does kind of get in the way of that and impede my upload schedule. So I guess what I'll kind of do for you guys is I'll try to make it sort of a monthly thing, if not just every here and there between every month, because I have had a lot of spacing between some of my uploads, and although it does help me a lot for making video ideas, I feel like for you guys it's not very fair. So I'll try my best to make it sort of a monthly thing, max 2 months if I ever have to take a lot of time off. But coming here in the summer, I think I should have plenty of time, so you guys should have plenty of content. But again, thank you guys. I appreciate everything that you guys did for the channel. And yeah, this one will be a little bit shorter just because the story is not as long, but hopefully it's just as enjoyable. Amusement parks are the stuff of dreams for many people. A place where you can eat an assortment of overpriced fried food and drink caffeinated drinks all day. And not to mention the rides and games that are the center of the park's enticing atmosphere. But behind all this, there's a certain majority of people who would never step foot on a ride. And who's to blame them? The idea of being flung around at 70 miles per hour in a roller coaster with safety straps that barely pass the inspection would make anybody feel sick. And with the rising cases in the past few years of people falling out or being maimed while on these rides isn't helping the reputation, a lot of this can be chalked up to negligence on either the rider or the employee. But all things considered, it's very unlikely that anything gruesome would happen on a regular day out. Freak accidents happen, that's a given, but what if everybody did their part and everything went according to plan? What if all the employees made sure that the straps and harnesses were on tight, and all the riders made sure to follow all the safety rules? But tragedy strikes anyways. Who's to blame then? Could it be that it's possible a malevolent force followed people into a place that's meant to be full of happiness and joy? What if, despite being as careful and as coordinated as possible, a terrible accident occurs regardless, something that's outside of the realm of human understanding? Tourist Trap takes that concept and shoves it in our face. When a children's ride that was originally meant to be full of laughter and cheers is turned into a place full of blood and unknown disappearances. In rural Wisconsin, there's an old abandoned park. Built in the 1920s, it served as the town's gathering place for everyone. That is, until a newly developed train and tunnels for Tots ride was installed in 1932. It was an innocent-looking, childish train with one main mechanized head train, with 3 small trolleys pulled behind it. It went around in some loops before going into a small tunnel. But this is where the story gets weird. There are numerous cases of child death that year, all of them happening after the child rode on the train system. Some children went missing in that short tunnel about 10 feet long, and others went comatose after leaving. One, upon exiting, was found dead. Her dress was covered in what looked like small bloody handprints, Some bled themselves by scratching at their throats until they bled out, and one of them even killed another child before Lester herself with razor wire at the family's farm. The park was closed, and the town's popularity as a tourist town plummeted. Recently, a team of scientists were sent out to the park. They taped a video camera to the train and put a new intern in with it, before sending it on its way onto the tracks. When the train left the tunnel, it was empty, except for the camera. The last 10 seconds were static, save for the sound of children laughing. So this is going to be another one of those where the image, far supersedes the story itself. So that's kind of what happened with Antran back in the last video that I made. So the clown car that I used in the video and in the thumbnail, it's been around for a long time. If my research serves me well, since 2006, where it was first used in YTMMD. And for those who don't know, it was one of the first meme websites back in the day. It's where a lot of popular memes have come from. If you guys like Wang, the YouTuber, he makes a lot of content over YTMMD. And the reason that it was, used that far ago was that the person that originally posted it, whose name was Zeratol86, had found it on 4chan. And again, if it's found on 4chan, it's going to probably be impossible to find it, through a search engine or through a, backwards, whatever. So at least we know where one of the first starts of it was. It had then been posted over and over again for one of the memes, where it's like one of those top text, bottom text memes where it's like abandoned clowns, train remembers you. And like I said, this is something that goes way further than what the image honestly was about. I had found multiple leads on where this image could have possibly came from. A lot of people were saying that it was from Pripyat, from some places in the United States like Missouri, and nobody could really come up to where a consensus of where this image truly came from. And I kind of get that, because from what I've been able to research is that this is not just a single instance of this train ride. In fact, I think that there is multiple of this variation. There was one, I think, that was part of this image, if I remember correctly, which I'll put it up here on the screen, that it's the same type of cart that was found in Tanzania. Now, the one that's originally used for the meme, I can't really narrow it down, but I'm gonna have to assume that it came from Japan. And the reason that I know this is because somebody was wondering the same thing about what I was thinking, which is awesome. And it goes back to a place in Japan called Hokkaido Wildlife Park, if I remember it correctly. Joyland, I can't remember, I don't know how to say that. A place in Hokkaido. And the history behind this park, again, kind of supersedes the image itself. So as I mentioned before, somebody else was asking the same question as I was. Where did this worm ride come from? Specifically from this picture. And surprisingly, there was a lot of information to back that up. The picture that we see here is presumably from a defunct amusement park in Hokkaido, Japan, that went by the name of Joyland Terume, or Hokkaido Wildlife Park. It opened up in 1975, and to pretty big acclaim. But it was shut down a little over 10 years later in 1987 due to a lot of violations that were happening at the park. The reason that it was called a wildlife park is because there was a lot of exotic animals there. A lot of these animals were transferred over from an original place in Mount Meiyama, if I'm correct, that were transferred over to Hokkaido. Now, originally they were moved here because a lot of the locals in Meiyama were really, you know, kind of anxious about having a place full of wild animals close to their home. So the genius of the owner of the Hokkaido Wildlife Park decided to move the animals to one of the coldest spots in Japan. Now, there was a little bit of a good side to this because at the time, Joyland had one of the biggest collections of polar bears at the time, which they aimed to breed and put out into the wild. But it wasn't really that well thought out, like I said earlier, because a lot of the animals that were transferred there were animals like lions, birds, monkeys, leopards, stuff of that type that aren't really built to take care of themselves in the winter. And as as time went on, the wildlife park decided, it started to decline in people coming to it, and they stopped paying their bills. They stopped paying all of the expenditure that you think, a park like that would, and it led to a lot of the deaths of animals there. And some of the people that ran the wildlife park, were even put on trial in the early 2000s because of how grossly mishandled this area was. And there's so much to this that I wish I could just make a separate video about it, but I'm just gonna link it for you guys. There's a place that has a really good, kind of just set of information of this area that I'm kind of surprised hasn't been touched upon, at least in English YouTube. I think there's quite a few videos of it on the Japanese side of stuff, but nothing on the English side, surprisingly. So I may touch upon that if you guys want me to. But yeah, this whole place, at first it started out as just any other wildlife amusement park place, and it just kind of turned into a nightmare for everybody involved. But back to what I was talking about earlier, the little worm ride, the little worm clown ride thing. As you can see it here on the map, it's right there, and surprisingly, this thing is just about everywhere. So this clown car is the stuff of nightmares for a lot of people, but for me, it was a curiosity. I've seen this image since I was around 12, 13 years old, just because of how into creepypastas I was, and I didn't really question it at the time, just because, who does? But now that I'm older, and I can go back and kind of relive these memories, I can try to kind of get the origin of where these things come from, because an interesting thing about creepypastas, like I mentioned before, is that a lot of the times they're superseded by the media that they use, and this is no different. This is an image that has been around since 2006, and has boggled the minds of many people. But now that we have so much information at our fingertips, I was able to narrow down, pretty much even the exact type of model this roller coaster is, thanks to Reddit. So back to what I mentioned about Reddit. That thread had a lot of information in it. Like I said, from where a lot of these speculated caterpillar, worm, clown, whatever they are, rides are from, up to where they're used and who manufactured them. This one in particular, the one that everybody knows and loves, is most mostly speculated to be in Japan. So the best thing about people having so many eyes on this one is that, again, we were able to figure out, what type of um, ride this is. It's a happy worm or a wacky worm, whatever they call it, and it was manufactured by uh, a roller coaster company called Togo KK or Togo, and apparently they export these things all over the world. And this particular roller coaster manufacturer does not have the best track record, from what I can see. They're surprisingly a very robust um, roller coaster community on the internet. I didn't know that, so yeah, I didn't know that, so I learned something every day. Apparently, this thing was even shipped out to a place that I mentioned in Tanzania, which again is not the best look because apparently the place that they used it on was an old slave trading ground, so that's not great. And they're even still manufactured to this day. Uh, but regardless of that, we're more interested in this one that was used in Joyland. Now, there's a lot more pictures and even some videos of people who have gone to this place back in the day, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody in the comments, that this place was like, it was demolished in like the early 2010s, probably around 2013, 14, and before that it had been like the whole place had been set on fire in 2002 under really suspicious circumstances. So yeah, so the worm that we see here, it was caught on photo and camera, or video, sorry, by a lot of urban explorers, really up until about 2006. So it was kind of brought out into the spotlight around the time that it had taken off in YDMD and 4chan. So it's really interesting how far people are willing to go to really research these things. And I'll even put some of the video footage that people have found about this clown car here on the screen, and it's really kind of hard to make out, but you can kind of see it here in a little bit. It's behind this little mushroom looking thing, and I think that like I mentioned before, a lot of the information that we know about this, just this single image, is supersedes the creepypasta by 1,000,000%. I think just the horrors of this really like just really ill planned whatever wildlife park or amusement park is really scarier than the creepypasta. So yeah, I mean this one was really kind of interesting to research because of how much information there was, but it was really kind of hidden, so you kind of had to already know about the image beforehand. And I'll even show a lot of the urban exploration photos and whatnot just of this park. And there's not a lot about the worm specifically, but there's quite a few. But yeah, this place is it's gone now, so I wouldn't really bother going to look for it because it's probably not there. And a lot of the stuff there is gone. Like it's somebody took it, and that's to me an even bigger mystery. Like maybe it was the government, just cleaning the place up, or something a little bit more shady. But yeah, this worm came from Joyland and manufactured by Togo KK or Togo, and apparently it's still manufactured to this day. So that's really interesting. So that's another one down of trying to figure out where these creepypasta images come from. So this one was a little bit more extensive than Antran, just because of how much stuff came with it. There's a lot of videos, a lot of pictures, a lot of links, a lot of websites. I had to do a lot of translating for this video, And yeah, this one was just, it was a lot, to be honest with you. You know, having to sift through, you know, the Japanese side of the internet and YouTube. So, but the Reddit thread was a lot of help. So yeah, I'm not gonna act like I, you know, peer reviewed this and independent researched that. So yeah, it was a lot of stuff, and I wanted to cover all of it, but I just didn't want to, you know, overstay my welcome with this video, which I already have because it's almost 25 minutes long over one picture, but I'm sure you guys will like it. Yeah, this one was really fun to make, like the rest of them, so I'm not complaining too much. But if you guys like this video, please, you know, shoot me a like or whatever, and yeah, just tell me how it did. Again, thank you guys so much for the support that the entrant video got. That was really, you know, I don't want to be dramatic, but that was kind of life-changing. So thank you guys, and yeah, I appreciate you.
You want to know why we're called Gen Z? Because Z is the last letter of the alphabet, and we're the last generation to put up with all the...
I'm AI with the braids. I'm AI with the braids. I'm AI with the braids. Dribble rock, crossover, young...